They're all nice guys. Now we had a scrimmage the other day, so it's a time of year where you're going to make a lot of mistakes, trying to put in a lot of stuff, but we have a very smart team. We're just not that deep with Kane Broom sitting out this year because of the transfer rules. We only have 10 guys. So I feel I've never been this thin as far as bodies to practice. So I'm used to a lot more practice than we've really been doing. Like my goal last week was to get to the Indiana State scrimmage without anybody else getting hurt, because we were down to 7 at one point. So we're back to where we have everybody, but we're still holding Jacob Evans out just for precautionary reasons. So, but our attitude's great, our effort's great. I would just say we're like everybody else. We're a work in progress, but I would say if you're going to ask, on a general thing, our biggest question mark will be our big guys off the bench. I'm very happy with our guard play. If anybody's listened to me in the off season, I don't know why you would, but if you did, Justin Jennifer has had a tremendous off season, and he's going to be a big factor for us this year. So that and Jaron Cumberland was so well coached and brought up in the game of basketball. He doesn't have freshman bad habits, so he doesn't turn the ball over very much, and he doesn't take bad shots. And he's very good off the ball defender. So those things will get you playing time when you have his talent. So that being said, we're with Kevin and Troy and Jacob. I love our perimeter, our guard play. We have subs in that position. We have 5 guys I think could start for us, really. It's just the front line with Gary, the only returning guy. Kyle's a transfer, obviously. He's the older guy, probably start, but Quadri needs to step up for us, or Trey Scott or Nasir Brooks. One of those guys is going to have to give us a solid guy off the bench on the front line. I would say, if you were asking me what our biggest question mark was, and what we're trying to develop right now, is some depth in that area.
Is Jaron okay to play tomorrow?
Jaron played Saturday. And he came back to practice Thursday or Friday last week. So he's still getting back to being comfortable. He missed a week with the sprained ankle. So
I'm sorry. He's not going to play tomorrow?
No, Angelo's going to evaluate Jacob tomorrow, Dr. Colosimo, and I'm being extremely cautious with Jacob. You can't win any games in October. You can lose them, though.
So when you have those numbers that you talked about, and how thin you are in terms of numbers, a lot of it is luck when it comes to health, but what is the coaching?
Oh, definitely. You got to practice-wise. You got to be careful because you don't have a lot of bodies to throw in. As far as how much we actually go hard against each other. Hence, last week was a little more limited. But the thing about it is, even like Jacob Evans, he's such a smart player. He doesn't need the reps that Nasir Brooks needs. Troy and Gary and Kevin definitely don't need them. So it's not like you got to beat and build a lot of defensive habits into veteran guys. Kyle needs them defensively, but the returning perimeter guys do not. So you just got to get those guys out. And then discretion's got to be the better part of valor, and that'll probably be, that's on me all year. Like the other day in our scrimmage, Greg wanted to go a little longer, and because you can go as long as you want.
Sure.
And apparently he had scrimmaged somebody else the year before, and they went for 3 hours. I said, well, we don't have enough bodies for that. He said, what'd you think of the scrimmage? I said, it was great, nobody got hurt. So yeah, you definitely you have to adjust what you're doing a little bit. Versus having 13 guys on scholarship, and say you got 2 high-level walk-ons, you got 15 guys, and you got 3 teams of 5 out there. It's not the case with us this year. Plus, Kane Broom was out too, so last week.
Troy grew a lot for you last year. In what ways can you see him growing even more this year?
Offensive aggressiveness. Just wanting him to know, he's not coming out of the games. He's got to look until he gets tired or in foul trouble. He's going to play with Justin Jennifer some, so that'll help him as far as not having to bring the ball up all the time. But just believing in himself, believing he's a great player. That's why I think it was good. A lot of preseason stuff doesn't matter, but him getting that award, I think it gives him motivation to try to live up to it. You know, you can't take four. You can't go get in a game and take 4 shots. Which I'm not sure what it was against St. Joe, but it wasn't a lot in the NCAA tournament. So just looking for his offense more is going to make us a better team.
How much does it help having a guy who seems to just have ice water in his veins at times like he does?
Well, returning guards are the things that make coaches sleep well at night, because they got the ball in their hands. And college basketball is such a guard-controlled game. And whenever you've taught a guy like Troy, you got a guy like Troy that he doesn't turn the ball over. Or you got a closer like when SK was here. Your chances of winning go up, because you know, when you start talking about the average margin of victory in conference play in college basketball is like 6 points. So you got to have a guy that knows how to win, gets other people in the right spot. So it makes you sleep a lot better at night, I can tell you that.
And there was an intangible that came with SK besides just the basketball. There was a certain aura, for lack of a better word, around him that kind of elevated everybody. Do you think Troy has that about him?
Yeah.
That he can kind of elevate everybody else?
And I would say that what I would tell you is, I think that in fairness I think people judge players in college basketball way too soon because of all the one and done stuff, and that's less than 1% of college players. The rest of us, it's a process. So we think of SK as a senior, or Kenyon Martin is a senior. We're talking about 2 guys didn't play as freshmen. So, you know, Troy evolving into a guy like SK that just knew how to make his team win every close game at the end of a game, never miss a free throw, things like that. You got to give him a chance to get there. So obviously, if he gets to that point where he can make his team win every close game, you're going to win a lot of games. I mean, that year you allude to with SK, we won our league, and I think we were 15-3 in a league with Louisville, and the national champs finished 5th in that league. Memphis had the most talent of any of the teams in that league, but we had SK and Justin Jackson that knew how to win games. That's a big thing. When you get older, you know, Gary Clark understands. You know, hopefully what we've been through, you know, you get hardened, and guys learn how to win games. You got to win close games, because you're not going to go blow people out on the road. So especially in conference play against good teams, you know, just find a way to get a win and get on the plane. So that's why veteran players, returning players, especially the guy with the ball most of the time, are so important in college basketball especially.
So it's kind of a to be determined
thing
with Troy?
Yeah. I'm not a big predictor. I'm a we'll see guy.
I saw your comments in Philly when you were picked to win the conference. You said, obviously, it's not because of coaching, it's because of the players you have.
Always.
But in essence, isn't it a lot about coaching? Because that kind of a moniker can work 2 ways on that. It could give players a sense of overconfidence, or it could give them a sense of, okay, let's go live up to it. And a lot of that's kind of like the way it's presented to them, right? Oh,
yeah. No doubt. I would say the reason you're picked has nothing to do with coaching.
Yeah.
You know, people pick preseason polls based off of players. You know, there might be some respect in regards to program history, teams that are always solid, always good. But whenever you're picked to win your league, well, let's be honest, I think we had 1 vote more than UConn, so we're basically co-favorites. But there's a responsibility that goes with that, and you got to handle it right as a coach. I think, in my opinion, that when you talk about that, the toughest thing is for your players to understand that they're being targeted, especially early in the season. That Brown in our opener is going to understand that Cincinnati's picked to win their league. You know, and all the teams early. That it makes it tougher to win. You're not sneaking up on anybody from a coaching aspect of it. But I think every year there's always optimism in basketball and in team sports around everything. And you have to get your team to realize it's not going to be easy to win. And that's why I try to play Bellarmine every year, because in exhibition you got to play D2s. Or D3s, and I think 1 poll's got them #1 in the country. If you don't, now we should win. We're bigger, we're more athletic, but if you don't play well, they can beat you. I think they got Xavier 1 year, and if you're not ready to play, they're capable of beating you. So it was good this year we were able to scrimmage another Division I team. But I think there's so much optimism all the time. Guys think, and people say, well, they got this guy and they got that guy. Well, the other teams got guys too. I mean, everybody's got guys. Xavier's got guys. Down Kentucky's down the road. Ohio State's up the road. Everybody's got guys. So it's really about the team and can you figure out a way to win games. Around here, we start that with defense and rebounding and making sure you're doing whatever you're doing with some toughness. If you don't do that, you're not going to have a chance to win. That's really the biggest challenge as a coach.
With Jacob out, has it allowed you to maybe push Justin a little bit more and let him know that, you know, that
he probably no, I would just say it just got him more playing time in the scrimmage against Indiana State. You know, he probably played 30 minutes at least. I'm not sure. It's just, you know, Kane can't play and Jaron was hobbling a little bit on his comeback, so got him some more playing time. But not really. I've been a big believer in him since I recruited him. So it's just a matter of getting him to make better decisions and getting him in great shape. You know, he's made a tremendous improvement in his physical condition. But Justin Jennifer's mental adjustment to just make your team win, make your team play well. You don't have to ever score. And then what happens is you end up going 5 for 7 like he did the other day in our scrimmage.
Would he be your fifth starter if Jacob sits?
He was Saturday.
Yeah.
But, you know, never know what could happen today.
Yeah.
I tend to change my mind on things.
Well, what do you want to get out of this game other than, I guess, nobody getting hurt, like you said? What's an exhibition?
Well, you want Bellarmine to play well and make shots. I think what you want to do, what you're hoping for, at least I am, is when you break down, you want to play a team that can exploit you, because that's what's going to happen when you get in a dogfight against a team with enough talent. That when you break down defensively or when you don't block out, that they're going to make the shot, make the layup, get the rebound, that you're not going to get away with making mistakes. That's what you want out of these games, and that's why as I always try to play Bellarmine, because they can shoot the ball. They're so well coached. And you know, Scotty's, I mean, they're in the top 10 like every year for a long time. So you want to try to play somebody that you don't get false hope. False hope is really, really bad, which is sometimes when you're picked first, you can get false hope. You think kids think it matters. It doesn't matter. Other teams maybe care more when they play you. So hopefully Bellarmine's going to make some open shots. And play really well against us. At least that's what I hope for. And if they don't, I want it to be because we played well, not because they did not play well. So, you know, that's really what it's all about early in the season. You got to try to make sure your team doesn't get false hope. So, you know, we talk all the time about what's going to work when we play UConn and SMU, the other two teams in our league that are consistently right there. You know, that's not going to work against them. You do that, they're going to score. So that's really what you're trying to get out of Wednesday. So usually Bellarmine can really shoot the basketball. You know, the D2 schools, the best ones, they don't have the size we have, but usually they can really shoot open shots, so that'll stretch us out.
Coach, your relationship with Scotty Davenport goes back a long ways. Just talk about that relationship a little bit and then talk about what makes him such a good coach.
Well, yeah, long ways. So far back, I don't remember. But I've been through all his weight loss and gain. So far back, I remember Doug is a ball boy, is now his top assistant, his son. So Scotty's a great coach because he's a great communicator. Any coach, my dad told me this when I was young, if you go to watch a team play, you should know what they practice. If you watch Bellarmine play, they are completely unselfish. They play with great hustle and togetherness, and that's what they practice. And that's a reflection of having a great coach. So if you go to see a team play and you don't know what the heck they practice, you start wondering what's this guy doing, which I'm sure people have said about me at times. But Scotty's so well organized, and he has a system of he knows who he can get, the kind of recruits he can get. I've convinced him to recruit the GCL in Cincinnati because there's winners in the GCL. Guys can shoot the ball, and guys know how to play and can play really well at Bellarmine. So he's got his recipe for success there. So we've been great friends for a long time. Just like anybody else that you go through Rick Pitino 101 with. You know, when you go through what we went through together. When coach is molding you into a head coach and you got to deal with the stuff, you're on tilt. That's what we used to call it. So Scotty, Kevin Willard, myself, we're all extremely close because our time we spent together in Louisville.